And we're pleased to welcome Hank Plante to SF Unscripted. Hank is, maybe you don't realize this, but an Emmy Award-winning political editor and has won also the prestigious George Foster Peabody Award for, basically, it's the equivalent of a Pulitzer. And that was for your CBS AIDS Lifeline reporting team. Yeah. Man, you've been with Channel 5 for almost 30 years now.
Yeah, 21 years. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I wanted to have you on the program because you've often been doing this.
Yeah, I'm usually on the other side.
Yes, yeah. And I guess I want to begin with this one. I've always had this technique, and maybe you know this, that after you guys interviewed me when I was head of the Republican Party or whatever you want, I would always chat with you, and I always would ask the reporter, you would offer it, but I'd ask the reporter, well, what'd you think? You know, if they asked me about X, I'd say, well, what'd you think of that? And I realized that inside, pent up inside, they had views, they just they can't report, they can't say anything, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the hardest parts about being a reporter is paying attention to your own opinions.
That's what I'm talking about.
So that if they, because we all have opinions.
Yes.
So that they don't creep into the story, or if they do, that they're balanced.
That's what I wanted to first talk about is, there's a lot said about the fact that news reporting has become much more editorializing in the way that the quotations are set up, the way the headlines are set up, the way the story progresses. I actually think that TV news is far more objective now than the New York Times or the Chronicle, which it comes out. You don't do editorials anymore.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
So you're there as a neutral observer.
Well, ideally, we're not robots, we're not computers. we do, stories can have a point of view, but you can also be fair in the story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and of course the great thing about, I've been a newspaper reporter and a TV reporter. Great thing about television is there's no substitute for just watching some guy or some woman on camera.
Yeah.
You can learn more from watching 20 seconds of Al Gore, George Bush, John Kerry. Watching them, you get more than reading 20 column inches in a newspaper about it. You get their intention.
Yeah. In other words, you as much as possible try to present visual representation.
Visual. It's a 2-minute movie. My news story at night is a 2-minute movie. It has a beginning, a middle, and end. It has a theme. I'm making a little movie every day.
See, but what do you do with the same challenge that the Chronicle had? You look at the voting patterns of the Bay Area.
Right.
Like in San Francisco, say 30% of the San Francisco or the San Francisco Bay Area viewers are conservative. 66% are more liberal. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're running the Chronicle, and I know they made this choice, what do you do at Channel 5 when you say, I know this is who's watching this news? Mm-hmm. Do you have to play a bit to the 66% who have voted time after time, not just Democrat, but very liberal?
No, we don't have to play to them. Of course we know who the audience is. We know that in the Bay Area, 2 out of 3 votes is Democratic. And, the head of the Republican Party is like the Maytag repairman in this town.
Worse.
So we know that. But do we play to them? No. I'm always rapping at your door to get the Republican view, because I think you have a valid point of view, and it
But that's why you are who you are. That's why everyone respects you, and there's other journalists at all 4 of the stations, all 5 of the stations. But what I mean is, you don't think Channel 5 and other TV stations have had to, when it comes to politics, especially, accept the reality of the audience of 7 million people in the Bay Area. Let's say 4 or 5 are adults, and half of them are active voters. There's your 2 million or so. You think they still want a balanced story, despite this heavy aura of political correctness?
It's all about the story, Art. Yes, they do want a balanced story. The viewers in this market are very, very smart. It's the highest educated market in America, higher than Boston, higher than Washington, D.C. We also have to be aware of that. They can make up their own minds. Mm-hmm. It's not my job to try to make up their minds for them. And as to the genesis of your question, a lot of Republicans are more interesting than Democrats.
You mean visually?
I mean just as a story. Arnold is a more interesting story than Gray Davis, for example. John McCain, when he comes to town, Rudy Giuliani, when he comes to town, is more interesting than Bill Richardson. Just, they say more interesting things. They're bigger personalities. I'm not playing favorites when I'm telling you this.
I understand.
I'm just saying, so it's all about the story. It's not about Republican, Democrat, left, right. It's just who is interesting, who's relevant. You know.
Do you think that with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Mayor Bloomberg and Rudy Giuliani, this new kind of Republican, remember, you've been covering it, especially in California, it's still true that the more right-leaning Republicans have dominated the party, certainly at the grassroots level. What do you think's happening with these three appearing? Are they changing the image of the party, or does the average person still have this negative view of the Republican Party? And is Obama changing the view of the Democratic Party?
Everybody's trying for the third way right now. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party both have their special interests. In the case of the Republicans, they're often in lockstep with the State Chamber of Commerce, and the Democrats, they're often in lockstep with the big labor unions and the trial lawyers. But what's happening in the electorate is the fastest growing political party in California is decline to state.
And that's true in the Bay Area?
That's true all over the country. And yes, it is true in the Bay Area. Independents, fastest growing voter bloc. Arnold knows this. Bloomberg knows this. Obama knows this. Elections, you get the nomination by appealing to the base, whether it's left or right, but the final election is one in the middle.
And that's growing.
That is what's growing.
And that's your audience.
And incidentally,
that's your CBS
sure,
audience.
That's what's happening in the Bay Area.
You think that there's more independent voters in the Bay Area that appeal to wanting to hear both sides?
Absolutely. And you'll be happy to hear this. The Democrats in this state have lost 6% registration in the last 15 years. The Republicans have lost 1% registration. Democrats are losing more than the Republicans are. And where are they going? Independents.
That's true also in San Francisco, the city of San Francisco, I'm sure, and around the Bay Area.
Nationwide.
The Bay Area is Obama country, as I gather.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think Hillary's enormously popular here. Obama has a lot of appeal and a lot of support in Silicon Valley. They like his young, free spirit thinking. But the smart money's on Hillary, I think, right now.
Do you think in the end that whoever's president winds up having to make certain decisions that are probably going to be the same decisions as the person they defeated?
Explain that.
There was being esoteric, Tolstoy always believed that Napoleon and the Tsar really had no free will. They were dictated by history. The peasants had more free will. Do you think that whoever becomes president winds up making certain choices that whoever's in that position would make, that, in other words, doesn't make that much difference?
Well, certainly whoever inherits this presidency is going to inherit Iraq and whatever that's going to look like a year and a half from now. So good luck. I mean,
once that's out of the way, though, when you deal with the core issue of terrorism and whatever, health care, the core issues, that the parties have blended so much that it doesn't make any difference in the end?
No, I think it does make a difference. I think it will make a difference. Would Gore and Lieberman have gone into Iraq? The way that Bush and Cheney did? I think that it does make a difference who's sitting in there.
Now, let's talk about, in the few minutes we have left, the whole changing world of journalism. And it has changed, as Jon Bernstein, the director, pointed out before we came out. Everyone's a journalist now.
Are they?
Are they?
Are they? I don't think so. Are they? I don't think so. Everybody got behind Josh Wolf. Bless him. He went to jail for not giving up his video. Is Josh Wolf a journalist? Is everybody with a cell phone camera a journalist?
Tell me.
No. Absolutely not. Can you trust them? Are they credible? Are they objective? Do they? Wait till the lawsuits start coming in, and we'll see who's a journalist and who's not, because they don't know the libel laws. No, I don't buy it. I really don't. Please don't ask me to define what a journalist is.
No, I'm not. But it's part of the universe. In other words, always going back to the viewer, or going back to the voter, or going back to the individual. Like it or not, they're bombarded right now by many sources of, quote, the news. How do you then?
Is it all the same?
You tell me.
No, absolutely not.
The young think it is. They think it's more accurate than what you do.
I don't know. I don't know if they really believe that it's more accurate. You know something really telling?
It's the visual part you mentioned earlier.
Well, you know what? On 9/11, that horrible day, all the viewers went to the 3 old-fashioned networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC. Not even CNN. Not even Fox News, which certainly everybody thinks they're doing journalism. They went to the old-fashioned 3 networks on that day, because inside, I think viewers know, when I'm watching cable news and the different cable, it's a bunch of people screaming at each other. Mm-hmm. And when they do their news, it's top 40 news. It's this headline and that. You're not getting any depth that you're not going to get from the 3 traditional networks. I think
that's fascinating.
I thought it was interesting.
And I think that's, in other words, even the 11 o'clock news is something it's a part of the way of life. I mean, it's there, what you decide to put on, but it's part of people's lives.
Katie Couric has 6 times the viewers of the cable news shows, CNN, Fox, and all the rest.
Do you think that all those stations now have become biased for entertainment reasons, for financial reasons, or for ideological reasons?
I think that some marketing decisions are being made. Let's see, Fox has got the right, maybe we should go left, or maybe we should do a little bit of right here and a little bit of left here in some of their talk shows.
So that was, when we started, I mentioned, when you look at the Bay Area, you have to look at the voters of the Bay Area. Do you have to cater to that? You feel you're still independent enough to be able to present the news as you see it, both sides, and not have to taint it for commercial reasons?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And we do know that Fox News and CNN and MSNBC are making those decisions, aren't they?
I don't know.
Do you think you ever have a blog?
I'll tell you how I feel about that. I have resisted doing a blog. And I know a lot of my colleagues do, and people have video blogs. People I work with have video blogs. I just think that I need to keep my opinions to myself. And I have an obligation to the viewers. I don't want them to know who I vote for, or what church I like or don't like, or any of that. You're always kidding me. Plante, you're a Republican. I'm not going to tell you what
look,
party.
This is why you won the Emmys and the awards, and I hope that your station can groom more Hank Plants.
Well, thanks, Art. I appreciate that. I enjoy talking to you. I'll be harassing you soon.
I'm going to have you back.
All right.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.